Free.
And we'll come upon, we'll come to the edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show. This is the People's Pan-African Parliament that sits in Kampala, Uganda every Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. And the recorded version runs on NBS television on Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. And your speaker is Andrew Irumba Sabe, right here. Ladies and gentlemen, Palestine and Israel war is what we are discussing this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that since last we left you on Friday, Saturday, a war broke out and over 8,000 people in Israel by this morning had been slaughtered, and that was indiscriminate killing and abduction. And so they didn't care who you were, for as long as they stated that you were supposed to be killed. That is the Palestinians in Israel. And so in retaliation, support with America, they are also saying we have so far killed 7,000. So on both sides of the aisle, you have innocent children, you have innocent women and girls and men and elderly people dying in this war. Both the person that has been attacked and the one now retaliating, all of them are killing innocent people. Both the Palestinians who attacked Israel, but also now Israel in retaliation are killing innocent people. Palestine boasts of having killed so far 8,000 people, and whereas Israel boasts of having so far killed 7,000 people. And for Israel's sake, this is in support with America. I have seen Biden and Netanyahu taking pride in such a retaliation. We shall retaliate in equal measures or even more. So the question is, who is wrong, who is right? Yes, Palestine could be wrong by attacking, but you're also not correct by killing in retaliation. Because the people you are killing are actually innocent. You have correctly said that this group Hamas is a terror organization. So are you killing members of the terror organization, or you're killing you're killing innocent citizens of Palestine? You have, in your own conversations, they agree that this is a terror organization, Hamas. Now, how do you kill innocent people of Palestine in retaliation for the actions of a terror organization? That's a debate. I don't want to be the one now to debate. I want to set the pace. I will begin with Comrade Daniel Garama. Daniel Garama is, of course, a regular panelist here, but apart from that, he's the chairman of Pan-African Movement, Uganda chapter, and a civil rights lawyer. He's a lawyer, a 911. And the second suspect, the usual suspect here, is Mr. James Kasher, who is a researcher and a human resource consultant. And the third one, for the very first time, ladies and gentlemen, is from France, a freelance journalist and a researcher, Mr. Thomas Gassefri. And then lastly, the gentleman you're sitting there with has no English name. He has no English name. What's your name, sir?
Bantu Banalekaki.
Did you hear that, Mr. Bantu Banalekaki?
Bantu people.
Stephen Bantu. Okay. Mr. Daniel.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
The topic for today: how does Israel-Palestine war affect Africa's and global geopolitics?
Yes.
The history of what we now call the Jews and the Arabs can as well be an infusion. Some sources in history say that there was no Jew and there was no Arab, that all of them were one and that they were all called Arabs. At the same time, some sources of history also notice and recognize the fact that right from inception, the Jews existed and the Arabs also existed, and that they lived side by side. Later, that there were misunderstandings between these two right from their ancestors, and they parted ways. To the Jews, that it was to a point of inhalation, and then they dispersed and they went throughout the world, some of them getting lost in Europe, others in America, and it is also said that we have got a section of them in Africa, especially the parts of Ethiopia. The present day Israel, as it is called, is carried in some books as the land of the Palestinians, and that the Palestinians consolidated themselves into the present day what is called Israel after the departure of the Israelites, who are fondly referred to as Jews. And that later, it was when the Jews were harassed and the infamous 1933 or thereabout Holocaust was carried out, and they regrouped, those survivors regrouped themselves, culminating into the 1948 UN resolution that was heavily backed up by Britain and USA, that they returned the remaining group of the Jews to the present day Israel state, which the Palestinians call their land. Whether that is correct or not is a subject of debate today as to whether the present day Israel state is but an occupied territory that was annexed by force of arms from the Palestinians, and that process was helped through what some other analysts say was a process that was rigged by members of the United Nations such as America and Britain to resettle a group called Jews into some other people's territory, which territory belonged to the Palestinians, and that from that time, of course, the purpose in some of the analysts' view being to create a satellite state which America is fond of for purposes of carrying out checks and balances in the interest of geostrategic importance, to check what is happening in the Middle East using a created state called Israel by the Americans and the English, although some other sources say it was a fair game for a people who have gotten ahead right to return to where they belonged initially, or where their great-grandfathers belonged, that it was only fair for the United Nations, whether that motion was supported by a few members such as Britain and America is immaterial, but that it was important that they had to be resettled. Mr. Speaker, sir, as of a week ago, those of us who have been following, there was very serious incursion into the state of Israel by a group which the Israelis call a rebel outfit known as Hamas. Hamas is one arm of fighting group for the interests of the Palestinians, along with Hezbollah, and the authority, they say they fight for the return and observance of human rights of the Palestinians, and the leadership which the Israelis and the United Nations has always referred to as an authority, the Palestinian Authority, is a loose government that has been given some semblance of acceptance by the international community. As of a week ago, that rebel outfit, if you like, call it that way, made for the very first time very serious, heavy attack on the state of Israel, and by the close of the day, more than 1,200 people had been killed. The account of the Hamas, the version, states that they killed the armed forces, what they call Israel Defense Forces, but the Israelis say innocent children and women were killed by the Hamas. They have since made retaliation or retaliated attacks, and they wish to outnumber the 12,000 that were killed so far. From the preamble that was given us by the speaker, they seem to be in 7,000. I am not sure, because they have not given timelines, when the mighty army of the Israel state, or the state of Israel, is going to stop massacring the Hamas. I imagine they are killing the Hamas rebels and other associated ones like Hezbollah, or whoever they are killing. They seem to be satisfied with the gains made so far. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Jewish people who, for one reason or another, had gotten lost into the rest of the world, made a very historical misfortune in what we now call the Holocaust, where it is estimated that close to 6 million people, or Jews for that matter, died at the hands of the Germans.
So, comrade, as you wind up, do you believe that Israel, being supported by America and its cousins, are correct to retaliate in equal measure or even more measure in killing innocent civilians of Palestine? Because Hamas, a terror organization that they have already described, because it has killed their natives, do you believe that's the correct thing that we should be doing as human beings?
There is no justification whatsoever for a group of people systematically kill another group of people simply because they disagree. Whatever the nature of disagreement, death should not be among the options. I therefore don't believe this is the correct way of doing things. But I want to state very quickly, Mr. Speaker, sir, that what you are seeing is not a new thing. What the Palestinians go through every day is death, discrimination in form of apartheid. The Palestinians don't have a right to return to their homeland, but the Israelis have a right to return regardless of where they are and when they were born, back to Israel state. The Palestinians don't have a right to vote. The government of Israel, which controls them, but at the same time, they live in very secure conditions. More land continue to be grabbed. They have the largest open prison that you can think about. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, sir, the system of discrimination is so much that the hospitals in Palestine, Gaza Strip, if you like, and the West Bank don't have medicines. There is no electricity. the unemployment levels are so high, and all that is courtesy of the regime created by the state of Israel. Hezbollah and Hamas are an equivalent of a standing army of the Palestinian state, if you like. A country called Palestine has got the right also to defend itself, and it uses Hezbollah as an army, it uses Hamas as an army, just like the state of Israel uses the defense forces of Israel. I want to conclude therefore.
So you are saying Hamas is officially part of Palestine, an official army group, or
whoever determines what is official and what is not official is another big debate. Just like the state of Israel has got a standing army called the Israel's defense forces, the Palestinian people have got their own defense systems. Whether you want to call them the rebel outfit, that is your business. But they also have their own defense systems in Hezbollah and Hamas. Whether those ones are being described by the other party as rebel outfits, that is another debate. I want to conclude therefore by saying that the role of the international media is also not helping matters. CNN, BBC, and other related global media houses are nothing but extensions of the Zionist state. They are encouraging the brutalization and the murder. They speak less about what affects the Palestinians. They speak more and loudly about what the Israelis are gaining against the Palestinians, and that double standards, the way of life, is unsustainable, Mr. Speaker, sir. That going forward, if we do not have America, which in my opinion created the state of Israel as a satellite state, like it has got other satellite states, if they do not reign on what is happening in the state of Israel against the neighbors, like we were fearing that actually the Ukraine situation is going to be a recipe for the Third World War. We may have the birth of the Third World War in what the Israelis are doing against the Palestinians, because it has moved to an escalated level and intolerable levels that going forward we are going to have those who sympathize with the state, or I mean with the Palestinians, coming forward, unless the international community applies uniform international law on everybody, as long as there is a different set of laws that apply to the Israelis and a different set of laws for even ICC that apply to the Palestinians, we are going to have a situation where the continued brutalization and abuse of human rights of the Palestinians is going to create a completely dissatisfaction in the more than the Palestinian population, that this may ferment a situation culminating into this.
Comrade Lugarama, I want to end with this. There is another school of thought that are saying what is happening could be a creation of America. How America has been looking at Israel, having nurtured them and done everything for them. They've been looking at Netanyahu as now a stubborn boy, like Putin and China and Germany have been playing. So now by this, I think some people think that America wants to now again have Israel under its arms. Because right now as we speak, since last Saturday, almost every 30 minutes, Netanyahu has forbidden to give him an update. And really, by doing so, America, don't you think, has achieved its goal of ensuring that they position themselves as the most righteous people or government to deal with Israel. How do you respond to that?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would not put anything beyond the government of America. History is abound with examples of where they have been and what they have done. The classified intelligence information show us that they have carried out more coups in foreign countries, like more than any other country. We are also, of course, alive to the fact that Europe as a whole has facilitated the coups in majority Africa and other geographical areas. Given that kind of history, therefore, it is possible that they could have created, like it is, of course, said, the state of Israel with the insight to have a balancing item in the Middle East. It is possible, therefore, that they have seen the Israel grow from a baby now into a superpower where probably they are not playing a ball, but creating their own alliances. And as such, therefore, it is even possible, therefore, that they could be creating a scenario where they want to bring back their very own into
the Pan-African Pyramid debate.
Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, before you show the side where you belong, Pan-Africanism, we promote peace.
Yes.
And today I'm going to speak as a peacemaker.
Thank you for speaking.
The real Pan-Africanism. In 67 BC,
Where were you? You are reading this?
this is history.
Okay.
There was a powerful king, a Roman Jew, by the name of King Herod, who was controlling the kingdom of Judea. Judea was the first kingdom in that area. And Judea means the land of Jews. So I want to give you how some people have been using their power, abuse power. And this king made a resolution that whoever a baby boy is born has to be killed. And therefore,
And what reason did he give?
he didn't, of course, to someone to inherit him. Didn't want to have a boy. So it was just clear. So when Jesus Christ was born, in around 4 BC, that's what they said, according to some. Then, according to Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 2, verse 13, 18.
You did the research?
Yes.
Chapter what?
Chapter 2, verse 13 to 18. Joseph was warned in a dream by an angel that Jesus Christ will be killed by King Herod. That the following day. So when Joseph woke up after the dream, he woke up Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Jesus, and fled them to Egypt. They escaped to Egypt that very night. Because if they had laid for only 6 hours, Jesus would be dead. So I want to show you, it did not start today.
I want you to connect it now.
Yes. Actually,
Why are you bringing all that history?
yes, I can show you. You know, you are starting with yesterday bombardments. This thing, the conflict started a long time ago. So because some of you don't read and research, you are just interested in yesterday's bombardments. But these conflicts have been there for a long time. Now, so when they went to Egypt, so what does that one mean, therefore, Mr. Speaker? It means the world has hope in Africa as the only continent where you can have peace. And by the way, if Egypt had not crossed the borders, millions of refugees now will be in Egypt. And I know very soon they will. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, come to your question. Which war is this? I think that's the question. As I speak right now, we have 2.35 billion Christians globally who are sympathizing with Israel.
Israelis are not Christians.
You wait. I'm talking about those sympathizers. Of course, we have the biggest population of Hindus. I don't know which side they have in India. Now, there is another population, Mr. Speaker, you are not following me.
I'm following very well.
2 billion people globally of Muslims who are sympathizing with Palestine. Now, there was a very good investigative journalist like you, Mr. Speaker. One time you told us you are an investigative journalist.
You not only tell you, but it's what they practice.
He went in Europe asking which country is supporting, Israel or Palestine, and give reasons. And if you have to give here people to give the script, they will say, I support Palestine. Why? Because I'm a Muslim. And when you ask someone who said, I'm supporting Israel because I'm
Catholic.
I'm a Catholic or I'm a Christian.
I'm a Christian.
Mr. Speaker, sir, now, some of us who are researchers, we can see that it is now no longer a political problem, but it's becoming more like a religious conflict. Now, when it turns into a religious conflict with our brothers, that's what we call it a jihad. A jihad. Now, when the Muslim world declares, Mr. Speaker, when the Muslim world declares that there is jihad, some people are fighting them because they believe in Israel. Then we are likely to have problems. Mr. Speaker, every year, Israel has been getting more than 1 million pilgrims.
Israel.
Yes.
Africans.
And these are Africans. As I speak yesterday, our friends from Tanzania, 17 of them are stuck.
Are they still alive?
That's another question. According to
Do we have some Ugandans who are stuck there as well?
we are yet to confirm. But there are many African pilgrims who are stuck in Israel. You see the effect? Because that's the topic. Coming to the effect. There is a religious conflict in the Middle East, and Africa has some pilgrims who are stuck. And you're not talking about it. Neither is no any statement from Foreign Affairs. How those people can
Forget Foreign Affairs of Uganda.
any from Africa, including Uganda, where you come from. Now, Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to have a serious and negative effect. Now that, according to my research here, in 2015, 2016,
Africa imported.
yes, imported arms worth $2.7 million. Israel has the best weapons, you know. It has been training many officers from Africa. What will happen? Can we believe that all those people they have been training, they are also sympathizers of Israel? That's another question. Mr. Speaker, in 2021, Africa accounted for 3% of Israeli defense exports. If imagine in the percentage of exports in Israel, Africa accounted 3%. That's a big number. Now, what happens now that we are at war? Mr. Speaker, as a Pan-Africanist, whenever there is a war of that nature, what I want to ask, what is America's interest in Israel? What is Iran's interest in Palestine? Now, if America is supporting Israel on the basis of religion, then we are going to third world war. Now, if America is supporting Israel on the basis of fighting terrorism, then we are safe. Now, if Iran is supporting and arming Palestine based on religion, then we are ready to have more deaths. Now, Mr. Speaker, to me, this is the right time Pan-African movement, Pan-African pyramid, to come out and say, you are fighting a proxy war. It's not worth it. This is the time Pan-African pyramid to come out and say, let us moderate. Enough is enough. Remember, we had attempted to do it in South Sudan, and I think this is our time. The Middle East needs some people like us. Because there are some people who are dying, who are not even knowing why they are dying. There are some progressive Palestinians who are actually supporting the Israel's interests. And there are some Israelis who are supporting the interests of Palestinians. But the moment we come here as Pan-Africanists, and we have a say where we should belong, this is the problem. Who will solve this global crisis? If America cannot solve a problem based on terrorism and religion attachments and feelings, I'm telling you, the world is ready to go to another war. So in a conclusion, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to urge all the members and the viewers that the Israel and Palestinian location is a holy land. They are located in a holy land. So that some of us who believe in God, the churches are quiet, the mosques are quiet. There is no shape or bishop that is coming out to say, please let us, and push United Nations and say, please hold the war. All bishops are quiet, Mr. Speaker.
They are fearing. They are still.
I don't know. And Jesus Christ was born from here where people are dying. But the followers are quiet. The sheikhs, where are you? Your brothers are dying. You don't have the courage to call the Secretary General and say, please, enough is enough. We are volunteering for the process.
You are volunteering to do what? To go and end the war and fight or
To end the war.
end the war?
Yeah.
Negotiate.
Yes, I think this is the time for us to come out, not blaming each side, but coming out to mediate the peace process.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
I'm here particularly because I believe that education should be what lead the youth to take the right decisions for a future, where people like us, sometimes I fail to deliver the Pan-African project, sometimes fail to deliver the condition of life for young people all around the continent to express themselves. Now in 1976, the student of Soweto said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We do not want to learn mathematics in Afrikaans. We do not want to learn every subject that we have in that school in Afrikaans. They went to the street, they took Soweto. Apartheid fired back. Apartheid shoot back. Many of those students died. Soweto 1976. Sharpeville is before that. But that was the students that rebelled. Okay?
Yes.
How was they labeled? They were labeled terrorists. People believe they follow the thinking of the
terrorists.
They were called terrorists at the time because they destabilized white apartheid South Africa. Right? Why am I telling you about this day? Because it's really important we understand that we have the perspective as Africans here in this continent to understand what's happening that side. Because what's happening that side has one name. One name we have all heard about. It starts with a C. It's called colonialism. Okay?
Colonialism.
Colonialism. It is really clear and really important. We state the fact that Palestinians currently, in 2023, people of your age, people of my age, are living in a jail.
Yes.
As my comrade said.
Yes.
Not any jail, a colonial jail.
The colonial jail.
What did the British put in place when they wanted to have African workers in the tea farms of Kenya? In the 1920s. Kipande, a book, right? That will tell you have the right to go out of your reserve, as they call it. You have the right to go out in order to go to a farm, so you can make money for the white farmers. Do you think such thing exists in 2023? That has been abandoned in 1960? That has been invented in 1920? That was 100 years ago? Does that thing still exist somewhere?
I don't believe so.
Yes, it exists.
Where?
In Palestine, in the Gaza Strip.
Yes.
Gazawi do not have the right to go outside of their jail, as you say.
Yes.
They only have the right to do so if an Israeli officer has stamped their passport, authorized it. So what? So they can enrich Israel. Every colonial power has based its capacity to develop its imperial project on certain tools, right? When we look at the tools that Israel used to engage with Palestinians, we see the same tools that the British Empire used to engage with East Africans, right? It's really important we understand that. When you go to Israel right now, Israel is collecting 300,000 soldiers. From where? From its youth. So the Israelis that will go and fight in Gaza, because be sure they will fight in Gaza, will be 19 years old, 20 years old, maybe 21 years old. What were we doing at 19 or 20? Were we fighting, or were we fighting with our teachers because we wanted better marks? Those kids will have to fight a war that is not theirs, both in Israel and in Palestine. It is clear that a model is imposed on that part of the world that is called Palestine, originally it's called Palestine, and that model is a colonial model. I'm not the only one saying it. If I was the only one saying it, you guys should maybe not trust me.
Qualify your statement that you're not alone.
There's a great Pan-African. There's a great Pan-African I respect a lot. His funeral were kind of recently. I wish I was there, but I couldn't make it. But I spoke about it in a lot of my classes before in South Africa. His man said, let me try to find the quote in my notes, the exact quote, Israel and the racist regime of South Africa. No, there's no difference between Israel and the racist regime of South Africa. Which great Pan-African leader said that in 1973?
Who is that?
KK, Kenneth Kaunda. And here is, my conclusion is going to go towards the same direction. What did Kenneth Kaunda do? Kenneth Kaunda liberated his country, but not only. He took all the mines. We should all know that. We should not forget that. He took the mine the same way Gaddafi took the petrol. He took all the mine of copper, and he financed for the Americans the war in Vietnam. When you see a bullet shot by an American soldier in Vietnam, never forget, it's an African worker that went to take the copper in Katanga and in Zambia. Okay? Are we all clear about that? Yes. They can kill each other because they have our minerals. Okay? Let's keep that in mind. The question that Africa should ask itself is the question my brother asked earlier. Will Egypt open its border? Because Egypt is Africa. Yes. And Africa has 11 kilometers of border with Gaza. Yes. Only Africa has. Not the US, not China, not the French or the British. Only Africa has a border with Gaza. Okay? And Israel, of course, but that's not a legitimate border. So we need to understand that the destiny of Gaza is also in our hands. Otherwise, we will pay the cost. And what will be that cost? The cost of refugee. 2 million people forced out of Gaza because of the Israeli attack.
Coming to Africa.
Coming to Egypt, most probably, and we will have to support Egypt in that effort. And that is more than likely to happen. And just to conclude, only one secret service in the entire world has announced the attack. Only one. Only African intelligence services have found that Israel was about to get attacked. Egypt's secret service have told Israel they're going to get attacked, and Israel did not believe them. Simply because they thought they're smarter, they thought they're better. They thought they would know. We all know the Mossad, guys. I'm sure it's what series the Mossad. The Mossad is strong. That's what we all think, right? Yeah. Guess what? Egyptian secret service are stronger. I think it's important we know that.
I want your opinion. What do you think of America's interest right now as we speak? Remember, at some point, although America did a lot to support Israel, even by colonizing Palestine,
it's only because America supported them.
Yeah, but right now, what do you think of America's interest that Biden can stand on international media and agree with Netanyahu that you kill them all, kill the babies, kill the women, kill the children, kill the men, kill the pets? What is your comment on that? What do you think?
We need to understand. We need to understand the world also beyond nation.
Because America projects itself as the master of democracy.
No, peace. We can't believe that here. No one will believe that. Of course,
you cannot believe it because you know that.
If the master of democracy is to elect
but that's what they tell the world. Now, if you are master of peace, democracy, and so on, as they lend them out, how do you agree with a group of people who go to retaliate by killing another innocent group of people?
Listen, the Americans are really strong, powerful. We know all those propaganda, what, great. But they also have a really large Jewish community. Okay, it is really important we understand that the Jews that escaped the death camp of German Nazi were those that managed to travel outside of Europe. Otherwise, they ended up getting killed in the majority. Who are they? Hannah Arendt, Adolf Adorno. There's a lot of really famous Jewish thinkers that left Europe to go to Americas, right? The Americas have hosts both in Brazil and in the US, right? What does it mean? This community has become extremely powerful in the US. They were well trained, they were well educated, and they have an agenda. The agenda is for the US to protect the land of Israel. Okay? Oh. So when you have countries on which Jewish community, historical Jewish community, are big and deeply entrenched in society, such as France as well. Jew French are part of French diversity. We're really proud of them. But what we know is that they have a direct link with Israel and they have an interest into protecting Israel. Okay? And it is really, I have nothing against people trying to protect Israel. I just want to say, why can a Palestinian not become an Israeli? What is making it so difficult for a Palestinian to have the same rights than the Israeli? Why is it so hard to humanize Palestinians? Why is it that there is dehumanization? Why are Palestinians dehumanized since 50 years? So they end up doing what they do, which are war crimes. But is that humanism?
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
But the Palestinian people's right to self-determination, their right to justice, must also be recognized. And put yourself in their shoes. Look at the world through their eyes. It is not fair that a Palestinian child cannot grow up in a state of their own. Their entire lives with the presence of a foreign army that controls the movements, not just of those young people, but their parents, their grandparents, every single day. It's not just when settler violence against Palestinians goes unpunished. It's not right to prevent Palestinians from farming their lands or restricting a student's ability to move around the West Bank or displace Palestinian families from their homes. Neither occupation nor expulsion is the answer. Just as Israelis built a state in their homeland, Palestinians have a right to be a free people in their own land.
It's not just us saying that. Many of us have been saying that for many years. The Palestinians have been saying it for decades, since the Nakba in 1948. But in the last few years, we had respectable human rights organizations like Amnesty International, like Human Rights Watch, many, many others, even the UN Special Rapporteur on the Middle East, all saying that Israel has been guilty of crimes against humanity and war crimes and apartheid and ethnic cleansing and the systematic ongoing denial of the most basic human and civil rights to the Palestinian people. They have condemned, rightly, as a war crime and a crime against humanity, the 18-year-long siege of Gaza.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
I would like to describe this war in, let's say, 4 phases. Okay, in 4 perspectives.
Number 1.
In the American perspective, in the Israeli perspective, in the Palestinian perspective, and in the African perspective. I would like to conclude with the...
What about the religious perspective? Because also there must be an element of religions fighting.
But according to how I see it now, religion is actually not playing on. It's only the Muslim religion that is playing, but Christianity. There are Christians that actually are siding with the Palestinians. Africa is mostly Christian, but we are siding with the Palestinians. That one is unequivocal, right? First, I would like to view it from the American point of view. Respecting what you said about the Jewish population in America, I would like to also turn your attention to another side, that is America from the history. We very well know where America became the world power. That was in the Second World War. How did America become a world power? America became a world power by playing games. How did they play games? They fund wars, and that is how the American economy survives. America survives through funding wars. They have tried it in many wars, and it has worked. And you see, as a gamer, when something becomes good, you become addicted to it. When you're addicted to it, you want to do it more and more. Why? Because you want to survive. It's not easy to be up there as the world power, and then you have that threat of being ignored. China is fighting to be the world power. Russia is doing the same thing. America is saying, well, I have the means to do it, why would I? So I see it from that way. That is the American perspective. When we come to the Israeli perspective has already been given to you by most respected Mr. Thomas here. The Israelis are just colonialists. These are people that As we very well know, there was no country called Israel until 50 years ago. History is very clear. 50 years is something so recent. So there was no country called Israel. Israel came into someone's land, settled there, and right now they are trying to invade. Israel is just a colonial power masquerading and having its, there is that trend that was going on called chilling with the big boys. Coming to the Palestinian perspective, he has already told it to you, these are people that identify with us actually as Africans. The first thing that will come to an African mind is the experiences that we had through colonialism and all that apartheid and everything. It's the same thing Palestinians are going through right now. And the first thing is that they identify with us. These are people that are oppressed, that are trying to overcome the oppression that they are in at the moment. And this is the reason as to why it's very much likely that African Union position was already predicted even before. There's no one that would say, what will Africa say? Because they identify with us in almost every aspect. Irrespective of the fact that the Western media and everything tries to paint it all around religion.
Different picture.
The excuse they use actually is religion, that mostly Hamas is a Muslim, jihad, they are terrorists and everything. Not every Muslim is a terrorist.
Thank you.
Not every Muslim is a terrorist, and therefore that's what I would say.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
To me, I think the world is forgetting that the solution to this war is very small. Two-state solution. Observing Palestine as a state with its own sovereignty and observing Israel as its own state. Because it passed through a lot, the Holocaust, whatever, we feel bad. It is inhuman for a young kid to be killed. It is inhuman for a daughter of a son of somebody to be killed for both sides. It is inhuman to call a young kid an animal, as some people called the other side that those are animals. There isn't any way you will say that people who are in an open jail, because Gaza, in the journalists, they call it an open jail. You tell them, move out, I'm going to bomb. What are you going to bomb? If it is 2 million people, how many terrorists are there that you can't inherit? Otherwise, you want to tell me that terrorists are 2 million out of there. What do you have to say about the white phosphorus that was the UN said that it is a dangerous weapon, it shouldn't be used, and you use it, and the world is keeping quiet. So the world is to blame. I was happy when I saw the UN Secretary General Antonio. First, he put out a message, but lastly, he said we need to come on the table. But the solution was already stipulated that Palestine should be observed as a state with the borders of 1965. Yeah. But the UN has to implement that, and the world will be at peace. But the UN is playing with its own interests because it gets funding, because of technology. But we should wake up, because if you don't wake up and we use religion to drive wars, my dear, the world will burn.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
Actually, for me,
What's your take on the war now? Let's go straight to the war.
Very many empires which have risen to power have always manipulated such times. So for me, I think it's time for Africa to manipulate such times and also raise to power. Because, yes, enemies, when your enemies are fighting each other, for you should focus and rise to power, because there is no other time for Africa to rise to power. I am so sorry.
Other than now.
Other than now. Yeah, Simone de Beauvoir said that oppression is source or bring a state of war. Simone de Beauvoir. So it is because of oppression in Palestine that you see the war in Israel. In conclusion, I have had people complaining about the UN people are fighting for places in the UN Security Council. The UN is the 14th point program of rules, 14 points. You get it? UN is as a result of 14th point program of Professor Woodrow Wilson, the president of USA, that led the formation of League of Nations, that was later to become United Nations Organization, then later United Nations. So we should stop claiming shelter in the UN. Thank you.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
I want to talk about this war. You know, the world has, in the recent past, had tried to get peace, but I think US cannot settle when the world gets some little peace. That's why you see it is even championing the war in Israel. This war has shown the hypocrisy of the United States. How US is one of the countries that champions, that they put on the front line of championing peace and democracy in the world. But today, if you hear the statements coming from the United States, you see that it is encouraging the war to continue. That shows its hypocrisy in this war. Now, this war has the problems of Israel and Palestine will continue not until these people come to an agreement in peace. Because in case you continue with wars, Palestine and Israel has been in war in these wars ever since. You remember the Black September in the 1970s. But the moment you go in the war and one camp has been defeated, and that is especially on the side of Israel, these people continue to mobilize. Yeah, to mobilize and keep the anger of revenge in the next session. So that's why even today, if this war ends and Palestine is defeated, they will continue to keep that anger on their heart. In the next years, you will hear Palestine and Israel are at war. So it is because of
So we must get an everlasting solution.
Yeah, we must get an everlasting solution. And this solution will not come through guns, it will come at peace.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
The issue of the mindset is the basic key among all things that we can use. I recall my great revolutionary leader, Thomas Sankara, who named Burkina Faso, who named Akavolta of then Burkina Faso being the upright man. It's only the upright man with an upright mind, with integrity that builds character, that can solve the issue of Palestine and Israel. Making Israel and Palestine two states with two sovereign governments is the better opinion. But what's the lessons for Africa in this war? Wars are started for benefits and wars are started for revenge. But what is your motive? That's the main issue. If your motive is to benefit as Africa, that is what you should always think about before you think of any revenge behind your mind. What I see in this struggle is Africa to recall the days of apartheid and think for itself what it experienced. 2, Africa to look at the source of gain in the war, because wars begin and people benefit. So Africa, if you can sell food, sell food. If you can sell clothes before you give those for free to refugees.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
When we look at this war, what is currently happening between Israel and Palestine, I would say that at such a position, America as a state has been like a sea nation that always are not at peace, to see the world not at any war. So right now they feel they are healthy in a way that they want to take the advantage of the war which is currently happening to manipulate other states. Like literally, as an African who has been raised in Uganda, we used to have full support on Israel's side, mostly because of the religion factor that we all had. But with the explanation that today I got from Thomas, it has really opened my eyes, because I was in that darkness that used to think that maybe Israel were right in that war, since they were being backed by even the United States. But now moving out as a convinced African, as a convinced Pan-African.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
I'm a Christian.
Yes, I know.
Okay, I'm someone who believes in God. Actually, I don't only believe in God, but I know God exists. So here there is a point that they want to make. Actually, Israel as a country has used the Bible to justify this war. We have to accept that. Though they are not Christians, but they are using the Bible to justify this war. But again, we have to understand that it's just of recent that countries, both Egypt and Israel, just of recent that they have been created. In the ancient times, we didn't have countries, a country called Egypt or a country called Israel. What today we call Egypt is, by then it was known as Kemet, right? It was known as Kemet, which was occupied by black men who built the Great Pyramids. This is an assignment. Go and read about the Kemetic civilization. It was black people to know our history. So we have to understand the root cause. Egypt is a country that was just created. Then after Egypt being created, we see Israelites also coming now to claim that what is now neighboring Egypt should be Israel. Are you getting it? But according to the Bible, we don't know what exact places the Bible was referring to as Egypt or as Israel. So today we see the people of Palestine are being terrorized, being killed, but we condemn this as Pan-African.
The Pan-African Pyramid Debate.
In my concluding remarks, I think that it doesn't matter who started the war, but it matters how the war will end. When they start the war and they kill your people, killing the other innocent people is not an answer. And America, that's why I first actually saw that America seems to be having an interest in this war. I think they want Israel to take over Palestine for their interests. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Irumba Katseria, Speaker. Thank you.
Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusa.